Welcome to a new vlog. Today is Thursday, July 18th, and it is actually my last full day in the studio before taking some parental leave. Today is actually my due date, and baby will be born at some point in the next few days. Since this will come out after that has already happened, I'll go ahead and tell you guys, if she's not born by this weekend, I'll be induced on Sunday. So I am confident that this is my last week in the studio before taking a few weeks off after baby's born. And tomorrow's just going to be kind of a half day. So I do have other stuff that's on that list that you guys have been watching me go through. I finished pretty much everything that ultimately really has to be finished, but of course there were still other things that could have been done, other things that I could be, like checking things off and be super, super productive on these last couple of days. But I didn't want to be really in that headspace going into having a baby and taking time off. So since it has been a while since I've been able to just really kind of dive in on an experimental piece, I decided to do that, since that's the thing that tends to make me feel, I guess, the most like myself, is when I'm just painting and kind of doing open-ended exploration. And the busier I have gotten as a freelance illustrator, the less time I have had for that. So it felt, it felt right to make that kind of the priority for these last couple of days. So that is what I'm working on now, and that's basically just what we're going to do today. I'm just working as usual with my Hillegas watercolors. And the reason I decided to tackle this subject in particular was that it has a couple of more technical things that I have been wanting to challenge myself with, a couple more technical skills that I've been wanting to challenge myself with. And it's also just really different from anything that I would be doing right now for commercial work. It's pretty, different subject-wise and different in terms of the look. So that's one reason I was interested in it. And then the technical things I want to work on are the really, it has really, really strong lighting and really pretty dramatic, pronounced shadows, which I often tend to steer away from. And I think some of that is because of what I was comfortable with in the past. And then having subjects that are not lit with really, really strong shadows also does tend to be a feature of commercial illustration. So that's just something I spend a lot of time doing anyway. So that has left me feeling like I don't want to not have confidence in dealing with subjects with really strong light and dark, and they can also just be really interesting to look at. So I'm using a reference image that I got off of the app Sketchy. I think that's what it's called. And I'm making some aesthetic changes to it, both in the color and in the content, what's included in the piece. I want to really kind of push using more saturated colors. So I guess that's actually another technical thing that I'm doing here. I usually tend to be fairly minimal with saturation and only bring saturation in at the end. And if you've taken any of my Skillshare classes, you know that I do tend to advise people to try not to get too saturated too quickly. And that's usually my practice. Part of the reason is that using saturated colors well and layering them and making sure it doesn't get too overwhelming, it's really challenging to do. So I guess working on those strong values and strong saturation. And then the ultimate goal is just to get into like a nice, relaxed, grounded place where I'm feeling like myself going into the next few weeks. And part of the reason that's important, I guess this can be kind of a transition to talking about the parenting aspect of this, is that I get a large part of my identity, or I feel like a large part of my identity is grounded in art and in making art and being a part of that world. And I'm really thankful for that. And I don't want it any other way. But it can be challenging to really step back from it. So even though I'm only taking a few weeks, somewhere between 4 to 6, it is well, at least my memory with my daughter, it was kind of a hard time for me emotionally because I wasn't really painting much. So yeah, I just want to get really connected with that before I move into that time. And then I think I'm also just going to be more flexible with myself that, you know, if I want to paint during leave, I'm going to let myself paint and I'm not going to take on assignments, but unless something incredible comes along, like, you know, I don't know, Whole Foods or Starbucks or something, then I might be tempted. But yeah, I think overall it's mostly just going to be, mostly just going to be hanging out with family. And then if I feel like I need to connect with that other part of me, the artistic illustrator part of me, then I will be more open to letting myself draw and paint if I want to. So I did just want to check in with you guys about some things that the last sort of pieces of prep that I have done this week for taking parental leave. I think I mentioned this in the last vlog. And those pieces of prep are basically the things that I have and am trying to put in place to make the transition back to work easier. So I do get a lot of questions about how I balance being a parent with being a freelance illustrator, and I think specifically with working from home. So I think a lot of people, well, obviously everybody is different, and there are people who work from home full time who don't have childcare, but that has never been our situation. And from the moment we met Penelope, we knew that that wasn't going to be an option. I think I did have kind of an idealized vision of what parenthood would be like, and thinking that I would be able to just have her like crawling around the studio when I'm working. But that may work for some people, but it never worked for us. So the number one tip is to have childcare if you can. I know that some people can't, and that it's not an option. So I obviously acknowledge like what a privilege that is to be able to have childcare. But the other thing I would say about it is, I think I do hear mostly moms, not really dads, but mostly moms talking about how they feel guilty if they're not taking care of their kids 24/7, or feel guilty having help or childcare. And I do struggle with that some, I guess, and I have struggled with that some. But to be perfectly honest, I feel like it's actually a really good thing for Penelope. And I grew up with a mom who worked, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for the example that she set for me. So there's a part of me that really wants her to see me balancing it all, and wants her to see that it is possible to have a family and to work, and not only to work, but to really, I don't want to say aggressively, but to really passionately pursue your dreams and to pursue a job that you find fulfilling and meaningful. So, that is part of, I guess, the reasoning behind it, and why I don't feel bad that she is in childcare and has someone taking care of her. So that would be my first piece of advice. If you're prepping, if you're getting ready for maternity leave, finding childcare can be challenging. And if you leave it for the time that you're on leave, rather than taking care of it beforehand, that can be really tricky. So that's one thing we've gotten in place. We also have enrolled Penelope in just a 2 days a week preschool. It'll only be like 4 hours total, so it's not a ton, but it'll be her first kind of venture outside. That venture outside the home in terms of childcare. So, or school, I guess. So all of those pieces have already been put in place. And then the other things that I have had to consider are like, so the time of day. And we used to have our schedule going up to now has been to have like a morning sitter, an 8 to 12 sitter. And then I have lunch with Penelope and I put her down for her nap and I work during the nap. And then we have a 3 to 5 sitter. So that means I get, usually a solid 7 or 8 hour workday in every day. But with having 2 little kids and having them be on different nap schedules, there's not going to be any guarantee that I'll have that nap window to work. So probably what we'll end up doing, our plan, what we've talked about with the sitters, is for me to work more like from 9 to 4 or 10 to 5, something like that. trying to get, again, that 7-hour stretch. So thinking about like the time of day and how I'm going to plan for what I need to do to be able to like be in the working space and be productive and be focused. And then the other thing is related to nursing and whether you're going to nurse or not. So I nursed Penelope for 20 months. And I would like to do the same thing. I'd like to do at least a year for baby number 2, which means I am going to be pumping. And this time around, I did invest also in a hands-free setup. So those are kind of like the 3 big things I feel like that we've had to put in place and wanted to do ahead of time to make sure I was going to just be able to seamlessly transition back to working. So the childcare, and then, you know, taking care of like my own personal needs, like eating food and drinking water and that sort of thing, making sure that's all in place. And then being ready to pump. But yeah, that is kind of the overall plan for getting those pieces in place. Let me know if you have questions. You guys will be watching this video while I'm on leave, so I won't be answering them right away. But if there are questions about that, like specifically on, parenting and working or parenting and freelancing, that sort of thing, let me know and I will get to them as soon as I am able. So for the rest of today, for the rest of this vlog, shortly I'm going to head downstairs, grab lunch, and then I will be back in the studio this afternoon during Penelope's nap, and then when the sitter is here, painting some more. So yeah, I will be trying my best to finish this painting and get it to a more completed state by the end of the day. When I heard her cry, how it chilled me to the bone. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this vlog here. I have gotten the painting to, I think, about where I am comfortable with the watercolor. I likely will do some colored pencil work on it tomorrow. I'll be in the studio for a few hours tomorrow morning. And that will be like really my last time in the studio. Today was my last full day. So we'll see if I can finish it up then. But regardless, I will be sharing the finished piece on social media. Thanks for coming along with me on this kind of just laid back, chill painting day. Feels kind of weird to wrap this up because I know that it's going to be several weeks before I film, even though there are new videos coming out every single week. So make sure you have the bell turned on so you don't miss any. Still weekly videos Friday at 11:30. But I won't be filming anything new for a few weeks. So it feels like I'm saying kind of a long goodbye. But one last idea, just based off of our little chat earlier about pricing. I'm thinking we could make like a whole video about that, like specifically about like pricing consultation or, basically what I'm thinking is like if you guys have specific pricing questions or scenarios or like want to get a quote price or help with pricing a quote, I could do a video where I would just like go through a bunch of those different scenarios and price out a bunch of different, like whether they're real or hypothetical client scenarios from you guys. So if you like that idea, let me know in the comments. And if you really like that idea and you have a suggestion for it, because I'm guessing you won't want to put like the whole pricing scenario in a comment. I mean, if you do, that's great. But the other thing you could do is just message it to me on Instagram. And include in there that you're thinking that it's for the video or whatever, so I know that you're okay with me using it on a video, and then I can film that when I get back. Hope you guys have enjoyed this little series about getting ready for maternity leave. You can put any questions about that in the comments as well. Thank you to my patrons for supporting this video. Remember, there's all kinds of awesome stuff for you guys while I'm on leave as well. So don't forget to check the Patreon page. And if you're new and you want to support there, now is a great time because there's tons of cool content coming out over the next few weeks. Thank you to Meg for editing this video. Thank you to everybody who's watching, and a special thanks to the people who are liking and commenting and sharing these videos with their friends. It means a lot, and it really helps the videos to do well and to get to people who will enjoy them. So I will say bye-bye for now, and I will see you guys in a few weeks, but really next week, because there's no video at 11:30, but myself, I will see you in a few weeks when I'm back. All right, you guys, talk to you soon. Bye.